I was driving up the California coast all last week, which made making videos about media untenable, but I am back. And I want to talk about the media class. The Commenteriat, I believe, is the proper Queen's English word for the media class. And I think it's fair to say they are a class of people. Perhaps not in economic terms, but they are a socio-cultural class of people. So what is the media class? Well, in 2019, the media class, as I see it, is mainly people between the ages of 20, 30, and 40 living on either the West or East Coast in DC, New York City, or Los Angeles that work at digital media news publishers and frequently interact on Twitter. In fact, I think Twitter has even acknowledged that their main user base is digital media journalists. Those are by far the bulk of people that use and engage on Twitter, and that's why you see all the blue check marks with journalists. Twitter and I think modern digital media news has a very symbiotic relationship. So that would be my, I think the proper term is ethnography of what is the media class. It's a age range between 20 and 40-year-olds who grew up with the internet that make a living writing and making videos and content about news, or that are, quote, journalists on the coasts. And most of their power is derived from Twitter, and most of the things they cover come from Twitter, and therefore if you're not on Twitter, you're removed from the conversation quite a bit. I think you see this happen when people get banned from Twitter. They fall off of the kind of news cycle of what journalists are talking about. Or if something's not taking place on Twitter, it gets much less coverage. Now, what else can we glean from this media class, this commentariat? Well, by far, they largely lean left. That's true. They're generally well educated. Most have an undergraduate and graduate degrees. And while some people have business degrees or history degrees, by far the majority of them have broadcast journalism degrees, or journalism, just plain journalism writing degrees. I also want to point out that the media class gets a lot of things wrong. They are just as vulnerable to hot takes and misinformed opinions and gaps in knowledge as the rest of the general population is. And I think the Jussie Smollett case, which was going on while I was in California, was a perfect example of the media, once again moving too quickly back and forth on Twitter, just as they did in the Covington case with the Catholic schoolboys. And I particularly remember a clip on CNN where they had a bunch of contributors talking about how, real journalists didn't cover the Jussie Smollett case, or didn't say like this was, actually true. It was a bunch of celebrity tweets, and we got to be careful not to mistake celebrity Twitter accounts and pop stars with actual real hard journalists that are doing the work. And I think that's true, but the real hard journalists doing the work were a bunch of local, Chicago journalists that were not big on, Twitter, which would be part of the media class, the commentariat. And on top of that, I think it's very unfair. I think an average person, if they're on Twitter and they see the Speaker of the House, the Speaker for the House of Congress in the United States, Nancy Pelosi, tweet, and I'll quote it here, quote, "The racist, homophobic attack on @Jussie Smollett is an affront to our humanity. No one should be attacked for who they are or whom they love. I pray that Jussie has a speedy recovery and that justice is served. May we all commit to ending this hate once and for all." That's by the Speaker of the House, that most people will take the Speaker of their House on their words, his or her words. Now, of course, Nancy Pelosi has since deleted this tweet, as it came out that Jussie Smollett may have indeed falsified the entire attack. But I think it's very patronizing and indicative of some of the thinking of the commentariat, as we'll call them, that people shouldn't mistake, celebrity Twitter accounts for, what's actually going on. So people shouldn't listen to the Speaker of the House. I think an average person, it would be reasonable for them to assume that what the Speaker of the House says is verified or, fact-checked, and that they're not rushing to conclusions. And if they are rushing to conclusions, if the Speaker of the House is indeed getting information wrong, where is he or she getting this information wrong from? Well, surely from the journalists and the media class in which they are surrounding themselves with, right? I do not think Nancy Pelosi is just talking to her local neighbor, that mows the lawn down the street, as her source of information. Surely she's getting this from Twitter and the commentariat as well. So there's a positive feedback loop here that the media doesn't want to seem to acknowledge. So what's the point of this video? Only to say that there is indeed, a media class, a commentariat that has its own set of beliefs and backgrounds and demography that can kind of be classified just as, professors can or police can, that come with their own presuppositions and biases and where they engage and interact with each other. And just as, the commentariat, the media class may have a liberal bias, or a liberal slant, I don't want to say bias, but liberal leaning. Individuals within the media class may be liberal leaning, and that culmination makes it more liberal or left oriented than, say, a standard person in Oklahoma that may be conservative. The real media class's power isn't in, promulgating progressive leftist views. It's in that they're able to protect and grow their own. If you come to New York City, you will quickly realize that most of the people that have blue check marks on Twitter and that are journalists, whether it be at the Daily Caller or BuzzFeed or New York Times or Now This News or The Atlantic, they all know each other. They all hang out, they all get drinks together, there's meetings, there's groups, there's social circles, and they all discuss and share the same ideas. And so often, they're all repeating back each other's. It's very much like a little subreddit in real life, full of media people in New York City, and there is very much a bubble there. And breaking into that bubble can be very difficult if you want to get a job or a career in the field and you don't have the right connections. Just as this applies to whether you're a writer or you want to make videos. There is indeed a video consultorium in New York City that all the big producers from Vox and BuzzFeed and Vice, they all get together and meet and have drinks and talk, and it's a very in-house club-esque. It's somewhat exclusive, and if you don't know the right people, you won't be able to get into the right social situations and the right conversations, and you won't be able to further your career. So I think that's really my takeaway, is that there is indeed a media class, a commentariat, and I just want to bring attention to the fact that there is. Anyway, it's just a thought for this morning. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow.
San Francisco, spend all my money on cigarettes and vintage clothes.